Will these teams be going all in this matchup this weekend, April 4th?
100%. Well, we tossed it around, didn't we, earlier on? Will Atleti want to show their cards or not? But this is a beautiful trilogy, isn't it? And I can't see why Atleti wouldn't, because it could give Barca a psychological edge. They just literally edged past them in the Copa del Rey. So I can't see why they wouldn't want to go for them full time. There's nothing to gain by holding back. Of course, Atleti can't do anything in La Liga. They're not going to win it. They're not going to get close. We know that. But why wouldn't they go all guns blazing? Set the tone.
Because, yes, agree. But there's a more important matchup. For Atlético Madrid, it's the least important of the three.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. But it is part of the three. So
correct.
So
that's the tricky thing that Cholo Simeone is dealing with.
Because
right?
if he holds his cards back and they get beaten and get beaten soundly, all of a sudden you've given yourself a psychological barrier. You can't just say, oh well, that wasn't our strongest team. This is the real us. A few days later, you can't do that.
I think the team will look different though.
Yeah.
From
what we're going to see next week.
The team that plays this weekend in La Liga and the team that plays in Champions League. Maybe not entirely, but Cholo Simeone has kind of been rotating all season. He doesn't, like, I think if you name me his 11, you'd be wrong. Because he's always tinkering. He always tweaks. Like, even his strikers. Like, now Griezmann's in form. He wasn't using Griezmann at the beginning. He dropped off.
Two different competitions, but it's not different football, is it? Although one is over 2 legs, this is a single 90 minutes. This 90 minutes is all about the next 2 games.
I think it's going to be such psychological warfare. And if you had to pick which manager is the king of psychological warfare, who would you pick?
Yeah, Cholo.
Cholo, of course, right? And I love that as soon as they finished the tie against Tottenham, they interviewed him the very next day, and he just had this grin, this mischievous grin on his face. They asked him, you're playing Barcelona 3 of the next 4 matches. What are you going to roll out with? And he just speaking in code. He's just got something very sinister up his sleeve. And no matter how you're going to go about it, I think the big difference maker in this tie, in this match, is the fact that it's at home. If it was going to the Camp Nou, then I would probably say, I'd bet a few dreadlocks on this, that he'd probably go with the weaker side, or more rotated side for sure, or probably not his full strength side. But there's this feeling that maybe, just maybe, Barcelona are there for the taking.
Also as well, because it goes Atleti, Camp Nou, Atleti, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
So if they get a big result at home and it doesn't go their way in the first leg of the Champions League, they can say, well, look, you've seen what we did at home against them. So that's another reason to plant a flag.
Listen, although I do agree with a lot of these things, there's a certain reality. I think regardless of the result in the first leg, the atmosphere is going to be raucous. Excuse me. Regardless of the result of the 3 legs I'm referring to. Regardless of the results.
Regardless trilogy. Yeah.
Regardless of the result in the La Liga fixture at Atleti, the atmosphere is going to be raucous in the second leg of the Champions League quarterfinal match. Even if Atleti lose that first game in La Liga, right? Because there's a sort of redemption that you might be able to get if you're Atlético Madrid, even if you lose that first leg, that La Liga matchup, and you're always up for revenge against Barcelona. And I do think the players you pick kind of changes the complexion a little bit of Atlético Madrid, because you've got a Sorloth, which is a very focal point.
Is he fit? I thought there was a doubt about his fitness.
So there was a doubt because of the head injury that he had with Norway. So he was cleared with nothing significant. So right now, reports say he should be available.
And then if you go Griezmann together with Julian, the attacking combinations that you go with, how long does Julian play? He's often been subbing him off early. Does he sub him off earlier than usual? I do think there's a game here for Cholo to balance this first leg, because a lot... How many times have we talked about Atlético Madrid needing 2 cents to the dollar? And you don't want to go full throttle in the first game and then be 5 cents to the dollar by the second leg. It's it's more unfortunate for Atlético Madrid that we get these three sequences, this trilogy of matches, than it is for Barcelona. Barcelona, without a doubt, has to go for it. But I do think, I don't know if it's as simple as you say, Jeff, that he's just going to roll out his best 11, one game after the next. The other one's against Sevilla, by the way. Those are the four matches.
And then Copa del Rey
Barça,
after.
Sevilla, Barça, Copa del Rey.
It's a lot.
I do think Cholo is doing a balancing act in his mind right now to see what type of team he goes, so they're not burnt out very early.
And so I love that you say that, because you remember last season, right? We're coming out of the international break. Atleti were in all three competitions, right? And I was sitting here saying, I think they could win the title. International break comes out, their schedule, Champions League against Real Madrid, both legs, and then Barcelona, Copa del Rey, right?
Yeah.
And then Barcelona yet again. So it's almost as if the roles have flipped a bit, where for Atleti, they get to pick and choose. And Atleti are not going to be in the title race. We can all agree with that anytime soon or ever this season. But they have more or less secured or close to securing Champions League football. So they get a bit of the breathing room. And when you talk about matchups and players, I can't stress enough how important Antoine Griezmann is going to be. Yeah. If this matchup, I keep saying tie, because I'm thinking of the Champions League. If this matchup had come a month ago, I don't think we'd be having the same questions about Cholo, who he's going to pick. Barcelona would definitely have the edge, but since that month, they hammered them at this very stadium. But also on the flip side, Atleti lost the Madrid derby. They went to Camp Nou and got beat pretty badly. So it's a bit of a coin toss right now.
Do we think they go into this mentally equal? Because Barca won the previous game in La Liga. Obviously, they edged them out of Copa del Rey. So do we think Atleti will go into this feeling that they are at the same level or massive underdogs?
No, I think they think they're at the same level. That's the mentality that they have, even if the bookies have them as underdogs, because it's almost not, again, like to the whole theme of this conversation, the game this weekend is less about this weekend and more about the Champions League, setting the tone for the Champions League.
It's the most important of the unimportant games.
Yeah, it almost feels...
But not for Barca.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like not for Atlético Madrid, yes, but not for Barcelona. Yeah. Like, it's not unimportant for Barcelona. Barcelona needs to, like, Real Madrid is going to keep an eye on this game, even though it has nothing to do with them, in the trilogy has nothing to do with them. They're looking at this and say, if Atlético Madrid can help us out, do us a solid, title race is back on. Like,
Claudia, you said it's Valencia, didn't you, between the two games? For Atleti, Valencia between the two games? Sevilla. That's when he'll rest his players.
And you wonder how they're going to come out of this international break, right? Because we're talking a lot about the mental aspect for both teams. And for Barcelona, there's been a lot of things that happened this international break. Robert Lewandowski, he may have just played his last game with Poland after they lost to Sweden in the World Cup playoff final. He did post this picture on Instagram to the song Time to Say Goodbye, and there was no caption attached to this picture. Lamine Yamal then posted a message on his Instagram after the anti-Muslim chants at the Spain-Egypt game, which weren't directed towards him, but he was still affected because as he opens up his statement, he says, "I am Muslim." Yesterday at the stadium, the chants of "the one who doesn't jump is a Muslim" was heard. I know I was going for the rival team and it wasn't something personal against me, but as a Muslim person, it doesn't stop being disrespectful and something intolerable. And then Barcelona was also dealt a massive blow when Raphinha came back injured from his time with Brazil. It's reported that he'll be out for an estimated 5 weeks with a hamstring injury, which is when Barca plays Atlético Madrid all 3 times. So a lot of mental stuff that's going on with Barcelona coming out of this international break and into such a huge stretch of games for them on so many fronts. And Nico, specifically with Raphinha, Barcelona really isn't the same at times without him on the pitch.
We've talked about this at length. Just what he does on the ball, but also off the ball, leading the press, being extremely aggressive with it, giving Barcelona a certain tenacity that without Raphinha they don't have. So it feels like, again, an opportunity for a match to play right into the hands of Atleti. It's like string together 4 passes, have a goal-scoring opportunity. Since the press is not as sharp, I think Barca needs to recognize those moments and understand that without Raphinha, they're not as precise.
Well, you saw it on Numbers Don't Lie. They're a goal worse off conceding when he doesn't play.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah, I want to give some context into how massive of a loss this is, right? You mentioned the press. Hansi Flick after the first leg of the Copa del Rey semifinal came out and said, Raphinha, the guy behind us, is their most important player. Not my words, Hansi Flick's, right? So many people, and I think for me, Lamine Yamal is probably their best player. Pedri is their most elegant player, their rhythm setter. But for me, Raphinha is their tone setter. It's like driving a luxury vehicle, but not having your oil or not having the engine run the same way it should. And so this is going to be a big ask. And when you see it, the numbers, I mean, just look at the record, the wins and losses, number one. That's what I look at.
Your car working 60% of the time versus 80% of the time.
And it's the bottom one.
Goals against per match.
Yeah, that is massive.
That tells you.
And so the question is, who replaces Raphinha?
Well, it's either going to be Rashford or Fermin Lopez. It's the collective needs to understand what Barca loses when Raphinha is not there. And Barca plays this high wire act. And it's almost like they're unbalanced in the high wire act when you lose a guy like Raphinha, because, like we've said before, the blueprint to beat this Barca is there. It's not easy to beat this Barca by any means because they have so much quality. They are riddled with top players that know how to play this game. But the blueprint shows that you need boom, 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 4 passes and you're through and you're in on goal. Yeah. You have a high XG opportunity.
Do they have Yamal's number as well? He's only 1 in 8 against Atleti.
Oh.
It's a different Lamine Yamal from last time they played.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.